Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the Uplift with Vision. I'm Reverend Patti Paris. I am going to pray us in right now before we even start talking about anything. So please join me. I give great thanks for this day, for everything that it is, for all of the love of Spirit is right here in this present moment. And when we remember, we are filled with that same peace and love. All of the qualities of God are present right here in this moment, in this eternal now. And this is the only place where we have our lives. There is no past, there is no future. We come fully present right here to this eternal now, to remember who we are, to live the life of Spirit and form that we know ourselves to be that place where peace shows up, where love shows up, where goodness is always present for us and to offer to anyone. Giving great thanks for this time we spend together in this pursuit of the demonstration of Spirit as we are, knowing it is all God, it is all good. And so it is. Well, how are you today? It's a lovely Thursday afternoon. I wanted to talk about talking today. So I'm calling this Talk Thursday. We're doing a lot of talking, and we want to be able to be understood, and we want to be able to understand. And so there are some really good ways in which we can do that, really good tips, really good help, because I think we're entering into a time now where we really have to have the hard conversations. I'm talking about what's going on in the world right now, right, with the racism, with the nonviolent protests for equality, and for the things that are going on. We really seek to understand and be understood in a nonviolent way. And so it started me thinking about, let's talk about talking. So of course I went back to my bookcase and I went and I got back my copy of Nonviolent Communication. You probably have one in your bookcase as well. This was the work of Marshall Rosenberg, and I know we did it years ago. I think it was very popular to do in our centers years ago, and so I'm pretty sure you've got a copy of it on your bookshelf. And so I went back to it myself to reread it, to see how I can uplift the level of the conversation, to uplift how we talk, how we understand each other, how we seek to be understood and to understand, because I think it's going to be very crucial now and in the days and weeks and months to come. And I want to just share this. Ernest Holmes said in The Power of an Idea, he said, if we know that God is for us, who can be against us? Therefore, there must come a trust so great that if ill winds blow, the only thing that is shaken is the external. And I think that's really where we are right now. The external is being shaken by mighty winds and shaking us to our foundations, because that's where we have to rebuild. We must rebuild from the foundations. And one of the really good and creative ways we can do that is to seek to understand one another and to be understood. Years ago, Robert McCluskey said this, and it's attributed to Alan Greenspan. I don't know. I think Alan Greenspan might have been quoting McCluskey, and so Greenspan got quoted as saying it. But really, it's Robert McCluskey who said, "I know you think you understand what you thought I said, but I'm not sure you realize that what you heard is not what I meant." And I know it's a confusing and giggly sort of phrase, but when you break it down, that's exactly what happens. That's what passes for conversation a lot of times in our lives, right? That we say something and someone has to take it in, and they take it into their context, and then they interpret it a certain way, and that may or may not been the way that they say it. And then if they don't reflect back to you what their understanding is of what you said, they may go away thinking something entirely different than what you meant, right? And I know we've all had experiences like that. So that's why I wanted to go back to the Marshall Rosenberg's work. It was just so groundbreaking, and it really up-levels our ability to understand and be understood. And this comes from his website. I just wanted to read that. As far as nonviolent communication, we learn to hear our own deeper needs and those of others. Through its emphasis on deep listening to ourselves as well as to others, nonviolent communication helps us discover the depth of our own compassion. The language reveals the awareness that all human beings are only trying to honor universal values and needs every minute, every day. And so in the book, Nonviolent Communication, The Language of Life, he talks about certain steps that we can take to up-level the language of communication in our own lives. And so I'm going to start with this one. He said, stop playing the game of who's right. Stop playing the game of who's right. I love this. Instead, address needs and getting those needs met. Because we're always doing that, no, you need to understand what I'm saying. No, you need to understand what I'm saying. So it can devolve into attack, defend dynamic all the time, right? So give up this idea, stop playing this game of who's right and seek to understand and be understood. The second thing he offers is stop dialect jackal. Stop being the dialect jackal, and the jackal as in the animal. And what he's referring to here is this black and white thinking, I have to be right, somebody else has to be wrong. There has to be a winner and a loser. In the jackal language, there is the alpha, and it has to be the winner. So if we interrupt that jackal language, it's like we learned the jackal language really when, as children, you have a fight with your sibling, right? And your mom says, say you're sorry, and you're like, sorry. And what does your mom say? Now say it like you mean it, right? Well, but you don't mean it, right? Because you're not sorry. And yet we start crying as children, and it's like, okay, I forgive you. This is the power dynamic. This is the struggle. This is jackal language. So be aware of that. Be aware of where you are, creating these, winning and losing situations in dealing with people. Then number 3 is the idea of I have to. I have no choice, right? When we are in situations where we would rather not. Oh, but I have to. Well, but do you really? Because, what we know in our philosophy is that we always have a choice, right? We always have a choice to do something differently, to do something a different way, or to change our minds about situations. So we do have choice in all interactions, right? Even if that choice is to just retreat from the interaction. The fourth thing that he says to be aware of is the idea that I feel as I do because you, whatever, fill in the blank, right? I feel this because you did such and such a thing, as if I have no control over my feelings, but you did it to me. This is, it's certainly not true, but it's assigning someone else the power over you to make you feel a certain way or a certain thing because somebody else did something else. And so we need to really go into that and take our power back from it. I feel the way I feel because I feel that way. Because maybe I was triggered, maybe my button was pushed, but certainly in that interaction, that button didn't get installed, right? I feel the way I feel because those are my feelings. And so as we move into the fifth thing that he recommends, this is sort of what we can do. And he said to speak the giraffe language. I love that. So we're moving from the jackal to the giraffe. Speak giraffe language. And the giraffe language is making an observation of the thing that you disliked. It's if it's you that are entering into the conversation. So it's about observing the thing that you disliked and sharing your feelings, sharing your own feelings in regard to that situation, sharing your needs, right? Sharing your needs in that situation. What would be an improvement for you? And then share a request. Like, how can someone else help in that situation or uplift that situation? And if they're able to, and if they're willing to, right? That's giraffe language, where we're all in this together, And then the sixth thing he said is he talks about the child feeding the duck. The child feeding the duck, and what joy you see in that child, right? It is a joyous thing. The duck loves it, the child loves it. And so he's talking about this in respect to the request. If you cannot offer the request, or if you cannot fulfill the request without that feeling of joy, without that idea that, yes, I can do this joyfully, happily, I can absolutely do that, then you have to look at that within yourself. And then, of course, number 7, when someone is speaking jackal language to you, don't take it personally. Reminds me of Don Miguel Ruiz's work, right? If someone is speaking jackal language to you, you did this and you did that and you made me feel whatever. You made me so angry. If someone's speaking jackal language to you, don't take it personally. And you know, something that you can do so you're not taking it personally. Something you can think about is, what are their needs? What are their feelings? I wonder what their feelings are that have led them to this display, right? And you could even ask that. You can articulate that, right? I'm sensing, you know, you have feelings around this thing. Whatever. Enter into the conversation of what's behind their jackal language, right? What are the feelings? What are the unmet needs that seem to be occurring for this person if they're using jackal language on you? And this is number 8 of the 10 suggestions that, you know, from the Nonviolent Communication. Number 8 is, never put your butt in the face of an angry person. And I love this. And of course, the butt that they're talking about is the B-U-T, butt. Never put your butt in the face of the angry person, which is really that attack-defend dynamic. Because when someone's angry with us, you know, our first instinct, right, is to go, yeah, but, you know, yeah, but no, you don't understand. I really meant it like whatever. And so all that does is escalate the situation. It just makes things really, that dynamic, that attack-defend dynamic more intense. So you want to just dispense with the but and listen, you know, listen. You can be fully present, which is actually number 9, is be fully present to someone's suffering. It says in the book, enjoy someone's suffering. And I don't know that I want to go that far, but with expressing that. But I would say be present. Be fully present with someone's suffering. If they're angry, if they're upset, if they're all wound up, you know, sometimes people get in front of you and they're all spun up about something. It doesn't help to go, yeah, but, because all that does is really tell them how they're wrong about feeling the way they're feeling. So I would suggest, you know, being present with it, listening for the unmet need behind, listening to the feelings that are underneath. You know, the display is the emotion, right? The emotions are what we display into the world, but the feeling is behind that. And usually behind that, there's a false belief. So it's about getting back to that and seeing that unmet need, maybe that really needs to be expressed. And then, of course, number 10. Number 10 is giraffe appreciation. I love that too. You know, where we get to appreciate people for their vulnerability, for their honesty, for their whatever they've done, for the thing that they did, for the coffee that they bought you, you know, whatever it is, to express giraffe appreciation. Because, you know, even when we say, oh, you're so kind, oh, you're so beautiful, oh, you're so good, that's really jackal language, right? Because it's a value we're placing over the other person. Oh, you're beautiful, you're kind, you're good, which means that they can be bad and ugly and unkind, right? So it's really a giraffe appreciation is more specific. It talks about really what they did. What is the act? Oh, you bought me that coffee, you know? That was just a lovely thing to do. It makes, you know, I'm feeling so warm inside. I'm feeling really, really warm by that gesture. You know, and to be specific, say how it lands on you, your feelings, so that it's not setting up a jackal situation where you are imposing your belief about this person on them. right? We speak from our own feelings. We always speak from our own feelings, and it just makes, it creates this idea that we can come away without judging and without feeling judged. This is really what nonviolent communication is about. It's not this power struggle. It's not oppressing another person. It's not being over and above someone else. It's not the language of shame and blame, right? It's the language of love and support. Like Rumi said, beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. And I think that's where we're going. We want to meet there. We want to meet in that field, beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing. And the way we can do that is with nonviolent communication, where we can express ourselves in a way that we can be heard and understood, and we can listen wholeheartedly, and to seek to understand those who are expressing themselves to us. Ernest Holmes, in the Science of Mind textbook, said this. He said, "When we learn to trust the universe, we shall be happy, prosperous, and well. We must learn to come under divine government and accept the fact nature's table is ever filled. Never was there cosmic famine. God is God. No matter what our emotional storm may be, or what our objective situation may be, there is always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there is that eternal voice forever whispering within our ear, that thing which causes the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings." Let's pray out. I know that God is all there is. I know that there is only one life, one energy, one universal intelligence, one mind. And I know that we all share in this one life. I know that our life is some undifferentiated expression of this one life, which is Spirit's. I know that everything within me that Spirit put there, all the qualities of God, they are found not only in me, but in all life, everywhere. And so we must turn to each other and see the God there. See the God within each and every soul. See the God within each and every life, knowing and accepting all life is some part of the divine life of God. We know we are one, and so it is. I'm so glad we're together doing this. I just love our uplifts. I love coming together and taking the time out during the day to just come together and remember who we are, to know that our mission and our vision on earth, this idea of reminding ourselves, remembering, awakening to the magnificence that we really are, to be dispensing these tools for spiritual transformation, this practical philosophy of ours to change our thinking, to change our life. From my heart to yours vision, so glad we spent this time together today. I will see you tomorrow on Friday at 1 o'clock on another installment of The Uplift. See you then. Love to you all. Bye-bye.